On a frigid winter's night, as icy winds howled through the streets and snowflakes danced in the darkness, a young woman named Holly, just 27 years old, prepared to leave her parents' cozy home after a heartwarming visit. "I really should head home now, Mom," she said, her voice tinged with concern as she wrapped her scarf tightly around her neck. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Her car was being repaired, so she had no choice but to brave the biting cold on foot. As she embraced her elderly parents, they reminisced with a hint of wistfulness. "Nights like this remind us of old memories." Holly responded with a wistful smile, her eyes reflecting a mix of nostalgia and melancholy, before stepping out into the intensifying snowstorm. Though her parents' house was relatively close to hers, the snow was quickly transforming her straightforward walk into a treacherous and exhausting journey. Bundled in her thick winter coat, Holly trudged through the snow-covered streets, the world around her shimmering in shades of white. She observed the hurried cars and saw people huddling together to shield themselves from the brutal cold. Passing by a brightly lit store, she noticed the sales assistant diligently tidying up the final items of the day. Further along, a couple with 2 young children frolicked in the snow, their laughter ringing through the chilly air as they playfully tossed snowballs at each other. The sight of their joyful camaraderie stirred a deep yearning within Holly. "Oh, how I wish you were here," she thought wistfully. Lost in her reverie and the memories that swirled around her, Holly failed to notice a soft obstruction in her path. Suddenly, she stumbled, letting out a startled cry. "Ouch!" A weak voice groaned from beneath her. Alarmed and filled with concern, Holly quickly crouched down to investigate. The accumulating snow had concealed the figure of a homeless man who was huddled beneath a thin, tattered blanket. The blanket, now coated in a layer of snow, camouflaged him against the wintry backdrop. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." "I didn't see you there," Holly exclaimed, her voice laced with shock and regret. As the homeless man slowly revealed himself, Holly's heart ached at the sight of his pitiful state. His appearance was a stark contrast to the warmth she had just left. His hair was matted, his beard grimy, and his face was smeared with dirt, making him resemble a forsaken creature more than a person. He shivered violently in the icy night, a stark symbol of abandonment and despair. The man looked up at Holly with weary eyes, his voice barely a whisper as he assured her, "Don't worry about me, miss. I'm used to this." He attempted to pull the meager blanket tighter around himself, but the effort did little to stave off the cold. Holly's heart was pierced by the sight of this lonely soul exposed to the harsh elements. Driven by an innate sense of compassion and an overwhelming sense of injustice, Holly knew she could not leave him to endure the frigid night alone. She felt an urgent need to act, recognizing that no one should have to face such cruelty, especially on one of the coldest nights of winter. "Sir, are you going to be all right out here? I heard on the news that it's going to be incredibly cold tonight," Holly said, her voice trembling with concern and compassion. The homeless man, his pride shining through his weariness, attempted to reassure her. "It's all right, miss. Don't worry, I'll be fine." Yet just as he spoke, a loud, rumbling growl emanated from his stomach, betraying his profound hunger and malnutrition. The sound was so piercing that it was impossible to ignore. It was evident he hadn't had a proper meal in days. Holly, driven by a deep-seated sense of humanity that had always guided her actions, felt a surge of urgency. Without a second thought, she offered, "Please, sir, you can stay at my house tonight. You're starving, and I'd be glad to prepare some hot soup for you." Her face, illuminated by the glow of streetlights and determination, conveyed an earnest desire to help. The man, taken aback by her unexpected kindness, scrutinized her with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. "Why would you help me?" he inquired, searching her eyes for any hint of deceit. After all, his experiences had taught him that the world often operated on motives of self-interest. Holly, sensing his hesitance, introduced herself with heartfelt sincerity. She spoke of her volunteer work at the local church and her lifelong belief that aiding others was her true calling. Her words, imbued with genuine conviction, kindled a flicker of trust in the man's eyes. "Besides, you could use a warm bath. Please come with me. It would be an honor to welcome you into my home tonight," she implored, her voice carrying an almost mystical quality of urgency. An inexplicable force seemed to be guiding her, as though destiny had conspired to bring this man into her path for a profound reason. The homeless man, now visibly moved by her offer, accepted her invitation. As he stood, some of the snow that had accumulated on his meager blanket fell away, exposing the grim reality of his plight. His clothes, which had been shrouded by the thin blanket, were a disarray of ragged fabric, frayed and torn, offering scant protection against the harsh cold. "I have some clothes from my brother at home. They should fit you well," Holly said with a warm, hopeful smile as they began their walk through the snowy streets. Each of Toby's steps left a faint imprint in the snow, a silent testament to his journey of hardship and suffering. As they walked together, the man introduced himself with a soft, yet hopeful tone. "My name is Toby," he said, his eyes reflecting a glimmer of hope that had been dormant for too long. The transformation in his demeanor was palpable. It was as if this simple act of kindness had breathed new life into him, offering a rare glimpse of hope and a chance at redemption on that bitterly cold night. As they walked through the snow-laden streets, Toby opened up to Holly about his resigned acceptance of what he had come to see as his inescapable fate. "You know," he began, his voice trembling with raw emotion, lying there under that blanket, "I was shivering so violently that I thought, maybe tomorrow I won't wake up, and it won't even hurt." His words were heavy with a deep sadness, reflecting the depth of his despair. He spoke of how he had resigned himself to the cold, believing that death was the only escape from his suffering. Yet now, as he walked beside Holly, the reality of his situation was taking an astonishing turn. Toby marveled at the transformation from the brink of death to the prospect of a warm bath and a hearty meal. It felt like an almost miraculous reversal of fate, something he could scarcely believe. The thought of being rescued from the clutches of despair and offered such simple comforts was both overwhelming and surreal. "I can't thank you enough," Toby said, his voice choked with profound gratitude. "Nobody ever does things like this for us. We're always left to fend for ourselves." His eyes glistened with a mix of astonishment and deep appreciation as he spoke. When they finally arrived at Holly's home, the sight that greeted Toby was nothing short of astonishing. The warmth and comfort of the house were in stark contrast to the cold and desolation he had grown accustomed to. Every detail of the cozy interior was a revelation: soft lighting, inviting furniture, and the smell of home-cooked food created an atmosphere of security and care that he had only ever imagined. For Toby, who had spent countless nights in the streets and dark alleyways, this was a novel experience. The very notion of home, a place of refuge and warmth, had always seemed like a distant dream, an ideal that felt forever out of reach. Stepping inside, Toby was enveloped by a sense of peace and comfort he hadn't known in years. The welcoming ambience of Holly's home, filled with warmth and kindness, stood in stark contrast to the harshness of his previous reality. For the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope and a deep sense of relief. The experience was transformative, marking a profound shift from the bitter cold of the streets to the nurturing warmth of Holly's hospitality. The depth of Toby's emotion was beyond words. As he stepped into Holly's home, he absorbed every detail with a sense of awe. The warmth that enveloped him, the soft hum of the house, and the comforting ambience seemed like a beautiful illusion, a stark contrast to the bitter cold and solitude he had endured for so long. It was as if he had been transported from the harsh reality of the streets into a serene, dreamlike sanctuary. Holly, noticing the profound effect her home had on Toby, was moved by his reaction. She saw the wonder in his eyes and the way he took in every element of his surroundings with a sense of reverence. With a compassionate smile, she told him, "I'm going to fetch some towels and clothes from my brother for you. Please feel free to take a hot bath while I prepare dinner." Her voice was filled with warmth and an earnest desire to offer him some semblance of comfort and normalcy. Toby's face, etched with fatigue, was brightened by a radiant smile. The thought of a warm bath and a home-cooked meal was something he had longed for, but never truly believed he would experience again. The sheer kindness and generosity that Holly was showing him seemed almost too good to be true. As he followed Holly through the house, he marveled at the simple yet profound luxury of being in a place that felt safe and inviting. Holly handed Toby the clothes and towels, her smile gentle and reassuring. "I still have some of my brother's things in the bathroom," she said kindly. "You can use them to shave if you like, and don't worry about the time. Enjoy the shower as much as you need. Take all the time you want." Her words were infused with heartfelt sincerity, making Toby feel valued and cared for in a way he had almost forgotten was possible. As Toby made his way to the bathroom, the weight of the day's events began to lift, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude. The unexpected kindness he had received was not just a gesture of generosity, it was a beacon of hope and a reminder that compassion still thrived in the world. For that night, Holly's home was not just a refuge from the cold. It was a symbol of new beginnings and the incredible power of human connection. For Toby, Holly's offer was nothing short of a miracle. The chance to finally rid himself of the grime and tangled beard that had become his constant companion over the years was almost too good to be true. The prospect of scrubbing away the dirt and feeling fresh for the first time in what felt like an eternity filled him with profound gratitude. As he took the clothes and towels from Holly, his eyes sparkled with a mixture of astonishment and appreciation. Each gesture of kindness from Holly was a balm to his weary soul. As Toby luxuriated in the warmth of the bath, Holly busied herself in the kitchen, her heart swelling with a deep sense of fulfillment. Preparing the soup felt like an act of pure joy. She had always been dedicated to charity work, but inviting a homeless person into her home and providing him with such intimate care was a new and deeply rewarding experience. The thought of making a difference in someone's life, of offering them solace and comfort amidst the harsh winter, imbued her with a profound sense of purpose. With each chop of the vegetables, Holly felt her spirit lift. The simple act of preparing a warm meal for Toby was a tangible way to express her compassion. She imagined how much he would appreciate the soup and hoped he would enjoy the carrots she had added with extra care. The warmth of the kitchen contrasted sharply with the chill of the outside world, and as she set the table with a loving touch, her anticipation grew. The sound of the bathroom door creaking open brought a smile to Holly's face. "Toby, the soup's ready," she called out with genuine cheer, her voice carrying through the house. The warmth of her invitation and the promise of a hearty meal were as comforting as the food itself. Holly's heart was full, knowing that her small acts of kindness had the power to transform an ordinary evening into a moment of profound connection and joy. The moment Toby stepped into the kitchen, Holly was struck motionless by an overwhelming wave of shock. Before she stood a man so radically transformed that he was nearly unrecognizable. Gone was the scruffy, unkempt figure of the homeless man she had met in his place was a well-groomed, clean individual with a radiant, fresh appearance. His face was now smooth and free of the grime that had concealed his features. His hair was neatly styled, and he carried a faint, pleasant scent from the shower. Toby's transformation was so profound that he seemed like a completely different person altogether. "Holly, I can't express how grateful I am," Toby said, his voice brimming with pure joy and heartfelt appreciation. "That was the best bath I've ever had in my life." His eyes sparkled with a genuine, heartfelt gratitude, and his expression was one of profound contentment. Yet Holly remained paralyzed, her entire body frozen in disbelief. Her eyes widened, brimming with tears, and her face grew pale. She looked as if she might faint, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what she was seeing. The shock of Toby's transformation was enough to render her motionless, her heart pounding with a mix of awe and confusion. Toby, noticing her reaction, approached her with concern. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice tinged with confusion. His question hung in the air as Holly, trembling and breathless, took a tentative step toward him. She reached out and placed her hand gently on his now smooth face, her fingers trembling as they traced the contours of his features. Without warning, tears began to flow uncontrollably down Holly's cheeks. Her sobs came in heavy, racking waves as she struggled to process the revelation before her. "Oh my God, Dad? Is that you?" she asked in a voice choked with disbelief and raw emotion. The magnitude of the moment was almost too much to bear. The situation felt like a dream, as if reality itself had shifted to reveal an astonishing truth. The man she had so selflessly helped, the one she had seen as a stranger in desperate need, was none other than her estranged father. The years of separation, the lost connections, and the unresolved emotions crashed over her in an overwhelming flood. The revelation was as shocking as it was profound, transforming the evening from a simple act of kindness into a deeply emotional reunion. The revelation struck Toby like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through both him and Holly. As he stood before her, his eyes brimming with tears, he managed to choke out the words, "Yes, Holly, it's me. I didn't know how to reach out to you. I had lost everything and thought I was destined to die on the streets." His voice was thick with emotion, wavering as he spoke. The gravity of his situation and the profound sense of despair that had overtaken him was laid bare in that moment of painful honesty. His tears, glistening under the kitchen lights, reflected years of suffering and hopelessness, mingling with the quiet but fierce relief of finally being found. Holly stood there, frozen, her own emotions running riot as she processed the astonishing truth. The night, which had begun with a simple, selfless act of kindness, had unwittingly turned into an emotionally charged reunion she had never imagined. The room, once filled with the mundane comforts of a warm kitchen and the aroma of homemade soup, now seemed to pulse with a profound, almost electric charge. Every detail, the soft light, the warm atmosphere, the scent of cooking now served as a backdrop to an extraordinary moment of reconnection. As their gazes locked, the years of estrangement seemed to dissolve, revealing the raw, unspoken pain of separation that had haunted them both. The tears in their eyes spoke volumes, conveying the depth of their loss, the ache of their separation, and the intense longing for the familial bond that had been severed. It was as though their tears were a silent language, telling a story of heartache and yearning that words could scarcely capture. For Holly, the revelation was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Her heart ached with the weight of the years they had spent apart, the missed moments, and the unresolved feelings. Her home, which had been a sanctuary of warmth and comfort, now felt like the stage for a poignant drama of reunion and reconciliation. The kindness she had extended, initially intended as a simple gesture of compassion, had now become a beacon of hope and healing in their lives. The emotional impact of the night was profound. The simple act of offering help to a stranger had, through a series of extraordinary and unforeseen events, led to the reunion of a family torn apart by hardship and fate. Holly's generosity had not only provided immediate relief, but had also bridged the chasm of years spent in emotional isolation. The warmth of her home, the comfort of her hospitality, and the sincerity of her compassion had transformed the night into something truly miraculous. As Toby looked around Holly's home, he was struck by the contrast between his former life of cold, hunger, and despair, and the comfort and security that surrounded him now. The walls, the furnishings, the soft glow of the lights, all of it was a world away from the streets he had been accustomed to. The stark contrast between his past and present created a sense of disbelief that mingled with his gratitude. Every aspect of the evening Holly's warmth, the homemade soup, the clean clothes was a symbol of the kindness and empathy that had restored his hope and given him a second chance. For Holly, the night's events were a testament to the profound impact that a single act of kindness can have. The evening, which had begun with the mundane task of walking home, had transformed into an extraordinary journey of rediscovery and healing. The unexpected reunion with her estranged father was a powerful reminder of the resilience of love and the capacity of empathy to mend even the deepest wounds. As she looked at Toby, her heart swelled with a mixture of joy, relief, and a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that her simple act of kindness had led to a reunion that would forever change both of their lives. As we wrap up this incredible story, it's clear that acts of kindness can lead to profound and unexpected transformations. From a single gesture of compassion on a frigid winter night to a life-changing reunion between a daughter and her estranged father, we've witnessed the incredible power of empathy and generosity. What have you learned from this touching tale? How do you think small acts of kindness can impact our lives and the lives of those around us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share in the comments below one key lesson you've taken from this story and how you plan to bring it into your own life. If you enjoyed this video and found it meaningful, don't forget to leave your comment below and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Your support helps us continue to share stories and insights that can make a difference. Thank you for watching.